Hi, I'm Helen McConnell from helenmcconnell.com, and this video is a follow-up to my previous two videos, one on shame and one on changing your personal story. And as promised in my previous video, I said I would tell you 6 ways you could begin to change your thinking. And that's what this video is all about. And of course, we're going to be doing tapping. By watching this video, you agree to the terms located at helenmcconnell.com/disclaimer. Number 1, and the first thing I want you to do is notice your thinking. Notice your consciousness. Notice your consciousness, noticing your consciousness. Know this, that the thinking that you are able to see or notice is not all the thinking you're doing. There's a lot of unconscious thinking, subconscious thinking going on. In fact, most of our thinking is subconscious. Most of it's habitual. Most of it's repetitive, and most of it's negative. So if you wonder why your life keeps happening sort of over and over, why does this keep happening to me? That's why. So notice your thinking. And I tend to have a sensation in my body when I'm thinking the same old thoughts. And if it doesn't show up as a sensation, it might show up as an activity. I'm doing the same old thing. There I am doing the same old thing. I must be thinking the same old thoughts. If you want anything to change, you got to change your thinking. So notice your thinking, same old thinking, and tap like this. Tap on the top of your head and say, there's some old thinking. And as a side note, you don't even need to know what you are actually thinking. This habitual subconscious thinking, repetitive and negative. I keep thinking the same thoughts over and over and expecting different results. This old thinking isn't serving me anymore. I'm ready to let it go. I'm choosing to let this old thinking go now. I'm choosing new thinking. And I don't need to figure out what that new thinking is. You just take a nice deep breath. That tapping round that I just did, which you can even shorten even some more, to just say there's some old thinking, is just enough to interrupt the old thought pattern. And that's oftentimes all it takes, is to interrupt it, to get it out of its rut and get us out of our trance. So I encourage you to do that. Whenever you notice you're doing the same old thing or saying the same old thing, say, there's some old thinking. It's not serving me anymore. I'm letting it go. I'm choosing new thinking. And I don't need to figure out what that new thinking is. Okay, that's the first tip. Tip number 2 to change your thinking. Notice what your thinking is telling you. Is it telling you, I'm so lazy, or I'm so stupid, or I'm such a failure? I want you to know that most of the thinking that we have going on, because it's unconscious, and even when it becomes more conscious, most of it's untrue. It's lying to you. So you can choose to no longer believe this old thinking. Like if it says, I'm stupid, and you've been repeating that your whole life, say, I am noticing my old thinking, and it's telling me something that's not true. I'm choosing to no longer believe what my thinking is telling me. It's not helpful, and it's not true. Take a deep breath. Something along those lines. In other words, question your own thinking, especially the judgy stuff. You really want to question the judgy stuff about you or about other people. And another way to approach this type of judgy thinking is, what if it's not true? What if this is just a habitual thought and it's not really true? What if I could stop having this thought? What would my life be like then? I give myself permission to let this old thought go. to no longer believe what it's been telling me. Okay, nice deep breath in and out. These are very short rounds, and they can be very effective, especially if you use them a lot during the day. Tip number 3, ask yourself, how is it serving me to believe these thoughts? Really get to the roots of why we continue to believe these things. And the most common things are, it's keeping me safe to believe them, keeping me comfortable, maybe uncomfortable, but safe. Maybe by believing these thoughts, it's keeping me from having to do something I don't want to do, or something I've never done before, something I'm afraid to do, something other people might judge me for, something I might get rejected for, which is essentially growth. I might get rejected by growing myself. And so these old thoughts are keeping me in an old pattern that I don't really like. Just ask yourself that, and then once you get the answer, say, is this how I want to continue to live? And here's a short tapping round. You can use something like this for that kind of thinking. Wow, this old thinking, it's really trying to keep me safe. Safe and small. When really I want to do something bigger. Something uncomfortable. Something I might get criticized for. Or rejected for. But it's something that is calling my soul. Oh well, I don't have to do it in this lifetime. I can stay small. I don't have to take any risks. I'll be okay. But wait a minute. That's so not true. I do want to do these things. So I'm giving myself permission to stop believing these thoughts. Just take a nice deep breath in and out. Tip number 4 for changing your thinking. Ask yourself about these thoughts. Who or what am I being loyal to by continuing to believe these thoughts that I'm having? Just dig into that one a little bit. Am I being loyal to my family, to my religion, to my country? And I'm not suggesting disloyalty necessarily, but I do recommend being loyal to yourself first. And of course, your personal safety is important. But when it comes to emotional safety, sometimes we have to stretch a bit. So ask yourself who you're being loyal to, and if you want to continue to be loyal to that person or thing or institution. And again, I invite you to be loyal to you. Not in a totally selfish way, but just to really draw out your true essence and share your true gifts with the world. Tip number 5. When I think these thoughts, what am I telling myself? So if I'm thinking thoughts that say, what is wrong with you, Helen? Which, quite frankly, I don't say anymore, but I used to say, like, what is your problem? And along with that question or those thoughts came all kinds of shaming. I was self-shaming, and I thought somehow that it might be helpful. It wasn't. And I'm telling myself that I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I'm irresponsible, I'm lazy, I'm broken, I'm stupid, those types of things. So notice what's the underlying thing you're telling yourself. And what I want you to realize is those words, lazy, stupid, irresponsible, loser, are the exact opposite of your true essence. Especially when there's shame involved, you can bet that you are hiding your greatest gift under there. So let's take those words one at a time and let's find the opposites so you can find your true gold under all of this shaming, okay? So, I'm a loser. I would say find 3 words that are the opposite of that. Winner might be one of them, or it might be something more like, when I'm not feeling like a loser, I feel calm, I feel confident, I feel inspired, something like that. So think of those other words: calm, confident, inspired. That's who you really are, not a loser. Say you've been calling yourself irresponsible. The opposite of that, well, responsible. Because I know there have been times in your life when you've been responsible, even if sometimes you haven't been. Nobody's perfect all the time, just know that. And you couldn't identify as irresponsible unless you knew what responsible was. And then ask yourself, when I'm not feeling like I'm irresponsible, I'm feeling what? You might come up with loving, free, compassionate. And just see what comes up for you. When I'm not feeling, fill in the blank, I feel, fill in the blank. So behind that shaming is your true essence. And I encourage you to begin to unearth your true essence and begin to show it off a little bit. Show off your gold, show off your gorgeousness, show off your magnificence to the world. You'll have more confidence, and that will attract so much into your life, and it'll definitely help you change your thinking. Tip number 6 for changing your thinking. I'm going to show you a technique using tapping and something that's known as ask and receive. It was developed by Sandy Radomski, and she gave me permission to use this. She said, take it, use it, change it, and share it. So that's what I'm doing. So I invite you to repeat after me. Tap on the top of your head and say, there's a part of my being that already knows how to find my true essence and how to embrace it. And that part of my being is willing to inform the rest of me now. It's doing so now with grace and ease. My body, mind, and spirit are receiving and integrating and implementing this information now. The transfer of this information is now complete. And just take a nice deep breath in and out. I hope you have found these 6 tips for changing your thinking helpful. Thanks for watching.